Welcome to Nothing Less Than Extraordinary, and an amazing podcast dedicated to ordinary people like you and I that have done extraordinary things in our life. I want this to be a human celebration of the human struggle in this journey called life through its up and down and twist and turn. May their life stories inspire you to reach your greatness and to reach your full potential. It is going to be a lot of fun, lighthearted, and raw in all its form. We will cover topics such as love, depression, divorce, parenting, woman in business, anxiety, addiction, self-love, forgiveness, and so many more. I am super thrilled and honored to have you here. My name is Ridon. May you have a great listening. Welcome, everybody, to Nothing Less Than Extraordinary. I have a fantastic guest here today. I love and adore her. I only met her once, and we did an interview on a second one. And instantly, when I appeared, I didn't even get a chance to see her. She's like, I would love to have you on my podcast. And the first thing I said is, yes. So welcome, Ellison, with us.
Hello. Thanks for having me. This is going to be such fun. We will have a great conversation.
Will be. And you know what? Barbara is just a magnet. Like, it's really hard to say no to Barbara because she just has that zoom and zest about her that you can't say no. I just wanted to compliment her. See, I love the red lipstick because it takes courage to wear it. It took me the longest time to be able to assert myself going, I'm wearing red today.
Yes. It took me a long time because I was brought up in a very conservative kind of family. And it wasn't until just in the last 10 years, and that's a different story in itself, that it's like, you know what, Barbara? I like wearing bright colors and funky glasses. Like, I have all different kinds of colors of glasses. And it's like, you know what? Be yourself. And I think one of the biggest things that I work with my clients is that quit beating yourself up for the things that you're not.
Yeah.
Celebrate the things that you are. If you want to wear red lipstick, then do it.
That's right.
Then do it. Life is
Too
just
short.
such a fun journey. It's such a fun journey, and you have the right to live it.
Oh, I love it. And the message you're going to pass on today, it's going to be amazing. I want to do a little bio of Barbara. It's going to be very short, but Barbara is so much more than just that. She's a midlife mentor, and she's also the founder of Wellness Playroom, right?
The Wellness Playroom.
And she's going to expand a little bit more on that because it's really fabulous. I've been wanting and praying when I've been working with seniors' homes and stuff to have somebody to come out with this idea. And then all of a sudden, Barbara and I connect, and she exactly realized that dream. So I'm so happy to dive in there eventually. But I also want to say today's topic is going to be covering on overcoming a loss and how to redefine our identity. So Barbara, you have so much story and you redefine yourself. So I'm going to let you start on that.
You know, the thing is, so much of life is what happens to us. Yes. But it's then how we handle the things that happen to us.
Yes.
And for me, I expected to, as a younger woman, I expected to grow up, get married, have children, live happily ever after, that kind of thing. Well, you know what? That didn't happen. And so, but I'll start with the tragedy, the kind of tragedy first, because it ties in everything else that went on. 10 years ago, I lost my husband.
Yeah.
And when he died, I was just absolutely in the widow's fog. Absolutely, truly. But I can remember the day I absolutely woke up from that widow's fog. And most widows will tell you that. They know the day they wake up. All of a sudden, the cloud lifts. They know they can start to smile again. They know that maybe down the road they're going to feel happiness again. Those kinds of things. I woke up on that day when I woke up, and I realized, Barbara, David has died. You have not.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do for the rest of your life? And so that was my next. And then it was like, well, who are you? And in that moment, I realized that I had no idea who I was outside of all of the labels that I had put on myself, or that society had put on me. That I was, I was a daughter. You start out life as a daughter. I was a daughter. Well, then I was like a wife. Then I got married to my first husband, so I was a wife. Well, then I was a mother.
Yeah.
And then I was divorced. So I was a failure. Well, then I was success again because I got married again. Oh, then I was a grandmother, and that was marvelous. You get to give the children back. You have all the fun of spoiling them, but then you get to give them back. So that was amazing to be a grandmother. And then my husband and I were business owners together, and that was amazing. And then I was a widow. Who was I in all of those labels? And I had absolutely no idea. No idea. And when I was sitting there in that daze of who am I, that what am I here for? Why am I here? Why am I still here? Why did David die? Why didn't I die? All of those, spiritual type questions. What's my purpose? Why am I here? Those kinds of things. And it was like, okay, Barbara, you might not know now. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to find out. But the thing, and I think the thing that I compliment myself on right at that moment was I realized I couldn't do it by myself.
Okay. Wow. That's a big one. Yeah.
That's big. The thing is, though, I knew, and some people, and if you're listening to this and you feel that you can't do it by yourself, and you really have had some trauma, like a major trauma or a life, go for therapy. Absolutely. I've looked at myself and went, well, Barbara, you've had a pretty good life. I was divorced, but I had a nice childhood, and I had loving children. And now I had a loving marriage the second time around. And so it's like, I knew I didn't need therapy. Okay, maybe I need to get but it was like, I don't know what I need. Well, then I was introduced to a coaching program called the Game of Life. The Ultimate Game of Life.
Well, that sounds so cool.
From another friend, from another man that I had met. Well, but that was a funny story because I don't answer my phone ever, because my phone number is somewhere in the State Farm system, has a fax line. Right. So sometimes I would pick up the phone and it would be that of a fax. So I just stopped answering my phone. So I didn't want to change my phone number. And so people that know me know they just have to leave a message, or if they're in my contact, I answer the phone. So, but for some reason, this phone number, and I answered it, and they said, "Oh, would you be interested in doing an online business?" That was totally outside of my wheelhouse. I had never thought of doing an online business. I said, well, gee, I'll look into it. Well, from him, I can now look back. From his name is Michael. I talked to him just a couple of months ago. Just a sweetie. But he introduced me to just several other things. And from that, I found this Ultimate Game of Life. I said, that's what I need. I'll do a group coaching program. Met one of my best girlfriends because she had been a widow and I was a widow. We just struck it off. It was just absolutely an amazing, that was an amazing relationship for so many years. She was tragically killed last year, but and I miss her.
Yes, that was your co-host. Yes.
That was my co-host. Yes. And, but this coaching program we went through, well, it was just amazing to just start to feel that, oh, maybe I do have a purpose. And then he introduced me to a thing called the Millionaire Mind Intensive.
Oh.
He said, Barb, I said, oh, I'm going to Montreal to visit my family. And he said, oh, the other company that I do coaching for, they're having a Millionaire Mind Intensive in Montreal. Here, let me send you up a ticket for it. And I went, okay, Phil, thinking in my mind that I am going to go to this. I'm going to go to the first session. because I'm a good friend and I'm going to go to the first session. I am going to, and then that will fulfill my duty to Phil that, that I went. Well, it was 10 minutes from my sister's house in Dorval. It was just on Côte de Liesse Road.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like, I went, okay, I'm going to go to this. So I went. Well, I was glued to my seat.
Wow.
Glued to my seat.
Wow.
Because everything that they were talking about was like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. And I stayed for the whole 3 days.
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing. By the second day, it was like, Barbara, this is what you want to do. You want to be a coach yourself and help other people through what you have been, to be the best ever version of themselves, to embrace life, to not just sit around and wait for life to happen to you. Embrace life.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things was you always hear, just get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. You hear that often. Yeah.
You hear it a lot. Well, you know what? That's hard. That's scary.
Yes.
People don't want to get out of their comfort zone.
No.
So I don't talk about getting out of your comfort zone. I ask my clients to just stretch your comfort zone. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Do one little thing, the opposite of what you would normally do. So today, if you have never worn red lipstick, go and buy a tube of red lipstick and wear it.
Yes.
Stretch that little comfort zone. You will be amazed at the things that people will come up with. That, I could do that. that one little thing
opens up so much doors.
It's like it opens up the universe to them, and it can be anything. I remember one of my clients, his name was Alex, and I said, well, he was in financial services, kind of a very traditional type of job. Loved it. He liked doing it. I said, well, if you weren't doing this, because he's getting up into where are you going to be doing this for the rest of your life?
Right.
And I said, well, if you weren't doing this, what would you do? We were on a phone call. I could hear I've never thought of that. And I said, well, if you could, what would you do? And he went, and I could hear the silence of he's thinking. And he went, I would do this.
Oh.
And he told me one little thing that he would do. And I went, okay, so what are you going to do in the next 2 weeks that's going to move that needle forward? What's one little thing to stretch your comfort zone? He came back 2 weeks later. He was a new man.
Really?
He was a new man.
Okay.
He was bubbling. He was excited. He was passionate.
He's alive again. He's found his purpose.
He was alive again. Well, he was starting to live again. He was starting to embrace life again.
Yes.
We are many, it says in the Bible that Jesus came that we might have life and have it in abundance. Find out what your area of abundance is. And it's different for everybody. And don't judge yourself by somebody else. What lights your soul? What lights your soul up?
You are such a magnet for this kind of thing, Barbara. And I cannot find a person to be able to verbalize that passion, that drive just as good as you do it. I am so happy that it's coming from you because you're the perfect person for it. I want to also say that it takes a person like yourself, Barbara. You are like, I want to be aging like at your age and still have this pump and energy. You're just full of life. And despite losing your husband, being in the complete fog for all that time and losing your best friend, you still manage to have perspective. I find that impressive, Barbara, because it's really life is what happens to you and how you deal with the
how
situation.
you handle it.
And that's right. And you master every piece of it, despite that you understand that losing your husband was a difficult thing, because losing a
Yeah.
loved one, especially your partner, is very,
Yes.
very difficult. I couldn't possibly imagine what that would be like. And then
Oh, you
losing,
can't breathe. You can't
no,
breathe.
no, and losing your best friend, and yet you don't let those incidents define who you are, this magnificent Barbara that is sitting in front of me.
Thank
I find it
you.
extremely inspirational, and I love for people to absorb that energy, because I can absorb it from you here. And I find that so good, because one of my biggest fear is knowing one day when I get older that I lose my husband, my partner. I don't know how I would deal with it, but you did it so well. And I would also say, like, to give people an idea, when you're in the fog,
Right.
how long it could last. Each person is different. I mean, you're
Yeah.
in a denial mode. Like when I actually,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, when I lost my sister, I was definitely in the fog, but I don't realize that I'm in the fog. Me, the thing is, I deal when it comes to tragedy or a crisis, I'm very much in control of my emotion. Like I'm very, very stable. So I know what's happening. So I know right now it's survivor mode. Survivor mode mean I must execute every little thing until I feel better and until I'm ready to heal. Until then, I don't allow any emotion, which is maybe not, I mean, each person is different. I'm not saying to do like me though. Yeah, you were going to say something, Barbara.
No, the thing is, that is your survival mode. Everybody's survival mode is different.
That's it.
Most people, though, don't realize that they're in that fog until they wake up from it.
Yeah.
Like the first year and a half after my husband died, I know that I went to work. I know that I ate. I know that I visited people. I know that I functioned. I mean, I took showers and all that kind of stuff. You're in your daily mode.
That's
and
it.
you go and I know that I talked to people, and I know that I cried. The only thing that I actually totally remember doing, though, was I binged watched all 10 years of Frasier
Whoa.
on Netflix.
Okay. Wow.
I know that I did that. I know that I did that. The funny part of that is, Frasier is still out there. It is still on. So once in a while, you will see an episode of Frasier.
Yeah.
It's like seeing Friends. The Friends show is going to stay on forever. They're still making billions of dollars from those shows.
Wow. Wow.
Because another generation is coming up watching them. Anyways, but I can watch an episode of Frasier that will come on late night TV, and I'll go, I know that I binged watched all 10 years of Frasier, but I don't remember that episode. So you are so you're still, that is our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Living our life for us.
Yeah.
It's living our lives for us until we can emotionally process. Like one of my girlfriends, when she lost her husband, she said, Barb, I couldn't think. Yeah. And I said, I know you can't think. You can do the basics. She said, but right now, she said, it's some of the times I couldn't even do the basics. Yeah. She said, I put up big Post-it notes on my walls. Have you done? And it was like she did a checklist. Did I do this? Did I? Because she couldn't remember. Yeah. And like with me now, part of that was, if it wasn't on my calendar, don't tell me anything. Yeah. Don't ask me to do somewhere. Yeah. You are so numb. Yeah. That sometimes you feel that you can't even take your next breath.
It's true. Yeah.
You're so numb.
Yeah.
And that lasts for some people, it lasts for a couple of months. Some people, it lasts for a couple of years. Some people, it lasts for decades.
That's it. That's it. And I guess the message is that not to push people, but I think yeah. And you want to be, because I'm so glad you mentioned like how, like people who may be going through this right now, like feel it, mourn it. It's so important, because if you
don't wallow in it.
That's it.
But don't wallow in it.
That is a very good point. Exactly. It's when you wallow in it, it makes the healing process even more difficult.
Even more
And to
difficult.
completely denial it is the other extreme.
And that's the other extreme.
That's it. So we don't want to go there. So I'm glad, covering, I've always wanted to do a topic on mourning. And I guess it's therapeutic for me as well. Although I have recovered from it, there is still process of me once in a while that I still have to mourn certain thing. Like I tell the boyfriend of my sister, it's harder for him because it is really a complete person that you have your daily routine with, you go to work, you cuddle, you all this thing. And one day till the next, they're completely vanished. The home that you have is all gone. Everything that you used to is gone. And I remember when my uncle passed away, I would see his presence, even though he was no longer there. I still see him every morning doing his Tai Chi and sitting and having his breakfast, because your mind seizes the person. They've been so long. Yes, they've been so long in your life. So give your time to heal, but don't dwell in it. Don't sit in it, like Barbara said. Yeah.
And and give yourself grace.
Yes.
Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one of the biggest things though, and I'm going to share this with you, and this was something that I struggled with for years. If you were a caregiver of the person that has died, if you were, and I was the caregiver for my husband for over 2 years, and I watched him go from being this vibrant musician worship leader to this shell of a man. And it was the most horrendous, stressful, awful, there's no words to describe how awful it is. In that first minute that he passed away, there was a spark of relief.
Okay.
That spark of relief, I was like, how can I possibly be feeling relief? My husband has just passed away. Barbara, what is wrong with you? And the guilt and the shame and how can you possibly feel relief? And it wasn't the relief that I had lost my husband. It was the relief that the situation was over, that he was out of pain, that he had gone to a better place, that he had moved on, that I had to right at that moment, but to feel that guilt and then to not acknowledge it. And then it took years, and I mean years, for me to admit that I felt it. How could I have felt relief? It's a totally different story. Now, my girlfriend, the one that I lost, when she lost her husband, her husband went to the doctor. 2 weeks later, they were getting ready for a fancy dancy party. He was dressed in his finery and he dropped dead in front of her. Literally dropped dead in front of her.
God.
Her feelings were, and it was the same, it's the guilt, that same guilt. I was at the relief that he had, that it was over. She was the guilt of I'm a nurse. How did I not see that there was something wrong?
Yes.
So it's that same feeling. It's guilt and shame.
Yes.
Oh, how did I feel relief? And in her, how did I not see it?
Yes.
And so often when we lose somebody close to us, we have that guilt feeling of over something.
Yes, that is so poignant, because honestly, we all feel guilt to some level or another, and each person is different. Because I'm glad you actually highlight this, because I completely forgot, because it's so important. We all feel to some extent. I remember feeling guilt and relief, like that she suffered from depression, that she no longer has to suffer. She's been battling it over for a couple of years. And so when she passed away, I felt a sense of relief. Finally, she doesn't have to suffer anymore. But then I caught myself feeling guilty. How could I actually wish she was gone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a subject that most people do not talk about. And in
Exactly.
fact, a gentleman that I know, he lost his wife last year.
Okay.
And just, how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Oh, probably about 3 or 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and we had a couple of minutes to chat.
Yeah.
And I said, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, I'm okay.
Mm.
And I looked at him and I told him just what I just said, told
Mm.
him my story of,
Yeah.
because he had been the caregiver of his
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
And I said, the hardest part was when I realized that I felt relief.
Yeah.
He looked at me,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew in that moment, he knew that I knew that he had felt that exact same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
But once I admitted it the first time,
Yeah.
it started to lose its power over
Yeah.
me. And now it's part of my story. It
Mm-hmm.
is part of what I share with people because it is so important.
Mm.
Guilt and shame robs so many
Much. Yeah.
of happiness
Yes.
of their life.
Yeah.
And it can be guilt and shame, and not necessarily over the death of a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
It can be guilt over something that they've done, something that they've not done.
Mm-hmm.
It can be anything, but guilt and shame is more prevalent for
Mm.
people, that it's more the cause of people that commit suicide, the people that drink, the people that take drugs.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things
Yeah.
are so often rooted
Wait,
in guilt or shame.
I agree with you 200%. It
We
is so, so
need to bring
true.
it out.
It really covers not just for loss, but guilt and
Not just
shame. It's the biggest robber in our life in
of
terms
our
of
life.
happiness. You are so correct on that, because when I look at
Yeah.
it, this is the way my sister hated herself, and yet she had everything. She's beautiful, she's successful, she's bright, she's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wanted to be her, except for me, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I
Exactly.
am her oldest sister, nonetheless.
Right.
So, but I am
Right.
comfortable in my own skin. Like, I never wanted
Right.
to be somebody else, even when I am imperfect. And thank God for that, because the Lord had gave me, Buddha, whoever gave me
Right.
the internal love for myself, to accept myself as I am in my imperfection. And that is the greatest gift. I always say that is my strongest asset, because I know in my moments of weakness, that's where I shower myself with even more supports, and be your own cheerleader when you're completely down. Don't kick yourself even further. You already feel like crap.
Exactly. Exactly. You already feel like you're the scum of the earth.
That's it. And nobody
don't
needs to
heap
tell you.
more stuff on you.
Yeah. Nobody needs to tell you. You do all of that all by yourself anyways. And I realized that in that process, the shame and the guilt that she must feel, she must tell herself, I'm supposed to be this person. I'm supposed to be successful. And there's a midlife crisis when I didn't get a chance to explain that to her, because I had a midlife crisis where, when I was a little child, everybody told me, Ree, you're going to do something great, because I have like these dimples.
Yes,
so in the
exactly.
Asian culture is that whoever has a dimple is, you're going to be like a millionaire, right? So
oh wow, yes,
kind of washed into my head that I'm supposed to be this person that's going to make a lot
larger
of money.
than life.
Yeah, larger than life, make my parents and grandparent proud. And then I was 30 and I was a nobody. I was 30, just doing a regular job like anybody else, 9 to 5, there's nothing that gave me meaning. And then I started slowly seeping into depression, because I looked at my life and I'm like, I'm nowhere. Like, I've become, people repeat to me, you're supposed to be something, and I'm nobody. And so she was suffering from that. But what I was able to do was I knew I'm a very intuitive person. So I really listens to my body. And when it doesn't sit right, I don't delay it. I don't let it linger to become something else. I always promise to myself, when it doesn't feel right, even if you don't know how to tackle it, just like you said, expand, stretch your horizon, just lean in and explore explore, and you're going to figure out. And I have this undying faith that even if I don't know what I'm doing, somebody somewhere, a message, a book that I read, it's going to show me the way. And when you have that undying belief, you'll always find your way. And so to come back to it, because otherwise I forget, is that don't feel like, yes, we're all going to feel shame and guilt, but please give yourself the permission to live through it, like feeling relief. And I remember feeling guilty when my sister passed away because I have very strong intuition. The last phone call we had with each other, my intuition told me, Reed, this is the last time that you'll ever speak with your sister. And I remember hanging up that phone, and I was driving extremely fast on a very short, I was late for a meeting. And I wanted so badly to pick up the phone and dial and talk to her and go, is everything okay? But I was thinking to myself logically, I'm going to kill somebody. I'm trying to save my sister because I'm not quite sure what's happening. I'm just getting this intuition. But at the speed that I'm driving, I'm either going to kill myself or I'm going to kill somebody, and I can't live with that. So I said, the logical came in, I'll call her after my meeting. And then after the meeting, I was just so beat. I had such a big week. I had a conference and everything. I had to prepare for material. I was so tired. So I couldn't find the strength to call her. I was just so beat. I said, okay, so not tonight, but tomorrow. And the next thing I know, she passed away. And so can you imagine the guilt I had? Like,
yes,
knowing I could have, my intuition told me, and yet I didn't do anything about it. So the guilt overwhelmed me. And then the other thing too was I was the only sole person who knew that she had depression, that she was battling in it, because she made me promise never to tell my parent about it. She was very prideful, and she made it very clear to me, if you ever tell my parent, if you ever tell anybody in the family, you and I are no longer sibling. And my sister was like my twin. Like, yes, she was the baby and we had this amazing connection together. But one thing that I know, I'm a very forgiving person. My sister is not. Right. If she tells you something and you don't do it the way she asks it, you break her trust. And the one thing I do not dare to do is breaking her trust. So when she passed away, my dad and my older brother were extremely upset with me because they said, we could have saved her. Why did you not tell us that she was struggling with this? And I wrestle with that dilemma for the longest time, even when she was alive. Should I tell them? Should I not tell them? And I chose not to tell them. And so I could understand, and I let my dad heal to say, you know, you could have, you should have. But then I said, going in the should have, could have solved nothing. The result could have been exactly the same. So from here on, as hurtful it is, I had to give my dad quite a few months to kind of overcome that. And all I did was listen to him attentively, because they go through their emotion. You're allowed to go through yours and let them go through theirs, you know? And it doesn't take away the love. Even if you don't understand what they're going through, I think it's still important to still love them. So I chose to love my dad, despite the fact that he was angry with me, just support him and listen to him. And now he understands, like, I did the best that I could within the option, the knowledge that I had then. If I had a crystal ball and I could have saved her, God, for sure, in a heartbeat, I would. And I wrestle with that idea for many months, thinking, God, I'm so damn stupid. I couldn't, I should have, maybe I should have told him. So all that just to say, it is not worth beating yourself up. It does no good. So please, during that time, mourn, try as much as possible, give yourself that space, and support, like the support network, like you said, with people that are loving and cheering you on and are there to support you is so important. I knew right away that I didn't really need a therapy, like you mentioned. I just needed a little push through the bump. So I went to see my therapist. As prideful as I was, I knew deep down inside I couldn't do it on my own. So I needed my therapist. So I went to see her once every 3 weeks, or sometimes when an issue rise up, I go and meet her right away. And all that just to say, we all need a little boost to kind of just lift us up, to carry through the little bump, and then we're okay again. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm for it because, yes, I am a therapist as well. But at the same time, I cannot save myself because I'm in my own head. I don't see all the perspective.
Right. And you can't, sometimes you just can't see beyond your own pain.
That's it.
Are you interested? I can give you one of the little tips that I do.
Yes.
So this is a little exercise that you can do.
Yeah.
When those, and this works for any time that you have like a negative thing that's coming against you. Because like I thought, I always explain it. It's that negative loop of stress. Negative loop of stress, negative loop of stress, negative loop, your negative loop. You're just going around and around and around and around. Well, what you have to do is do something physical to break that cycle. So what you can do is put your hands together like this.
Okay.
And now you're gonna count to 10. One, start turning your hands around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can do it. And if you need to, you can go to 20, so that your hands are facing the opposite way. Okay. So you can count to 10 or 20, however long you want. But because one of the things that I share with people is that your brain cannot do 2 things at a time. That's true. So what were you doing when you were doing this? What were you doing?
Focusing on my hand. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. On the touch of your hands. Yeah. What else were you doing?
Concentrating so I don't actually, I'm doing it properly.
Right. You were counting.
Yeah.
You were focused on your hands. So you were doing something with your brain. Your brain cannot physically do something and think something at the same time.
True. Yeah, that's a very good.
When you can short circuit that negative, it'll short circuit the loop. You might have a friend of mine, she said, Barb, and she said, I don't have to do it as much. She said, but for the longest time, I was doing it like every half hour. I said, great.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. And if you're somewhere where you can't do it, you can do this. It's so that you focus on the feeling of touch. So if you're sitting in a meeting and you're getting stressed, you can sit there like this. Nobody knows you're doing it.
That's it. That's a really good trick.
Nobody knows you're doing it. If you're starting to feel stressed within yourself, you have to do something to short circuit that. And you do something physical. It doesn't matter what, and it doesn't matter what it is. Some people do this. You see people doing this.
Yeah, I do.
I notice it.
I do that often.
I notice it now. I notice it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Play with me. I play with my earrings. If I'm feeling a little anxious.
Yeah.
I'll start playing with my earrings, or if I'm nervous or something, and people don't know you're doing it.
That's true.
Oh wow. But it short circuits your brain.
Oh, I love it. There's so many different tricks. I've heard of it, the short circuit. I am so happy that you're sharing with the team, with people, the member here. I also want to highlight you, Barbara, because you are beyond just like, there's so much facet to Barbara.
I'm a work in progress.
But you are fabulous, a work in progress. I want to be able to highlight you as well with regards to your project, your podcast and stuff. So if you can maybe talk a little bit about that, because she really her podcast is fabulous. And her co-host, it's awesome too. He has a really beautiful voice as well. So
I love embarrassing him about his voice because his name's Jason Tracy. But hi, Jason, I love you. Anyways, I'll tell you that. Have we got time to tell a quick story?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my girlfriend Pat, the one that was killed, we had the podcast before. We were on Facebook, and we just did it's called the Everyday Riches Show. And we just talked about life, finding the everyday riches in your life. And it can be something small. Hey, get in the shower and thank you, Lord, for hot running water. You know, just those little things that be grateful for, be gratitude. Anyways, Jason had been scheduled to come on our show. And so that week, for some reason, he said, Barb, I don't know what to do. I can't get on. It won't let me on. The link for someone, I now know it was God's hand of blessing. But at the time, it was like, the digital gods just didn't like him for whatever reason. So he was on just commenting.
Yeah.
So then Pat and I said, well, you know what, Jason, come on next week, because we had scheduled to have just a show by ourselves. Well, come on next week because we have it open. Fine. Yeah. Well, then on that, so our show's on Tuesday to Tuesday. Well, on that weekend, that's when she was tragically killed in a car accident. And I had to, so I called Jason. I said, Jason, Pat has been killed in a car accident, so I'm not going to do the show. And he went, oh, Barb, I totally understand. Totally understand. But then I woke up on that Tuesday morning and went, Barbara, for heaven's sakes, Pat would be horrified. What do you mean you're not going to do that? Get your bones in gear and get doing that show. One of those things.
Yeah.
I could hear it in her voice. I could hear her, that inner voice saying, Barbara, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I called Jason. I said, Jason, would you still be able to come on and do the show? He said, absolutely. So we did kind of like we did now. We talked about loss. Yes. We talked about losing Pat. We talked about him losing his grandmother, how we felt about loss, all those things that you and I just talked about. It's such an important subject, such an important subject. And I don't believe that it's talked about enough. Anyways, off my soapbox. But anyways, so then I said to him, I said, gee, Jason, you know what, will you be my co-host next week and go find us a guest? He went, oh, okay. So that's what he did. Well, now it's been a year. Our podcast is still going on. We love it. But his voice, he's got this wonderful voice.
He really
so I would always just say, oh, Jason, I just love your voice. And I would be in voice heaven, and we did an episode a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month, from a guy in England.
He was so good.
Wasn't he good?
He's so good.
Wife, just a great show. Anyways, and I remember saying at the beginning of the show, I said, oh, I'm in voice heaven. Jason, he's got this beautiful deep voice and now a British accent. It was like, I am in voice heaven. And the two of them, it was like they blushed. But they blushed. They were like, number one, couldn't believe I said it. But you know what? I'm at the age, I'm going to be 72 this month.
You're looking fabulous.
I'm at the age, thanks. I feel good. But I'm at the age now where it's like, hey, I can embarrass the young guys and get away with it.
It's true.
Those
are the perks.
Those are the perks of age. And I feel better now at 72 than I did at 42. At 42, I had a lot of health challenges. Okay. And that's when I had allergies and asthma. They were telling me I was going to have knee replacements and hip replacements and all this stuff. And I went, there's got to be a better way. So that's when I really started actively looking into the wellness space. And 30 years ago, wellness was not something you talked about. No. Oh, you're doing what? All that stuff. Well, now it has come full circle because now I've founded the Wellness Playroom. Yes. Because wellness is about so much more than just not being sick.
Yeah.
It is about being well in your relationship. Because I'm a personality science trainer. It's about being well in your body, in your own person, because we can age successfully. We don't need to age gracefully. We need to age successfully. Be active, feel good, but we need to do that. And I do that through nutrition. And it has been amazing. But we also can have wellness in our wealth. So I can share with people how to build an income based on the fact that they're having health results. And so it has just been such an amazing adventure. Because now there's people realizing that they have options.
Yes. And giving people option. Oh my God.
Yeah, when they come into the playroom, okay, what do you want to work on first? Do you have a health challenge that you want to have results with? Okay, let's start there. Oh, do you have an income challenge? Okay, well, let's start there. Oh, but I'm having trouble. I'm on the brink of divorce. Oh, well, let's start there. Because, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. Yes. Because I truly believe that each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, financially free, abundant life.
I agree with you.
we just sometimes need the help to find the right tools to
Yes.
do it with. And that's all I do now. Like
Yeah.
people say to me, well, why do you do what you do? I said, I'm just a message person. I tell people how did I become 72 and I am pain free, medication free, and I love my life.
Oh,
Well, how
wow.
did you
That
get
is
there?
quite something. Yeah.
Let me share with you how I did it. And
Yeah.
if you want to do it too, come join me in the wellness playroom and let's do it together.
And we're going to
That's
share
up to
that info
you.
as well about
That's up
Barbara,
to
how they
you.
can actually go and connect with Barbara and learn
Connect with
more
me.
about the wellness playroom as well. Because I
Yeah.
think it's magnificent. The one thing I love, and forgive me, I hope it doesn't offend anybody. I have a soft spot for children and seniors. It's my
Yes, we're wonderful people.
Yes. And I think like today's society, which I find sad, although I'm all for youth, we forget our seniors. And where I come from in my culture, seniors are never to be forgotten because
Right. They're
they
revered.
are, yeah,
They're revered.
they are revered. They are the passage of wisdom so that it allows the path of those behind us to make it so much more easier. So in my heart of heart, every chance and every moment, that's why I love you, Barbara. Every chance, every moment of my dedication in life is to highlight seniors as much as I can. And I have a soft spot for veterans, like a really soft
Yes.
spot
Yeah.
for
You and me
veterans.
both. You and me both. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But can I
so,
tell you my definition? Did I tell you my
yes,
definition of being a senior?
no, no, I want to hear it.
A senior.
Yes.
Senior. Strong, energetic, no nonsense, inspiring, outrageous rebel, looking for your next adventure.
I love that. You're gonna have to text that to me or send me by
I
email
will.
because I love
I
it. I'm
have
gonna
I
pass
have
that
it as a
message.
t-shirt. I have it as
Oh,
a
I
t-shirt.
want one too. I want one too. I want that t-shirt, Barbara, because I want to rock it
Yes.
anywhere I go.
Rocket. And when I wear it, it's like, I love your t-shirt. I have a t-shirt and a hoodie.
You could be making millions with just that
Oh, that's it.
t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm in the process. In fact, Jason's wife, she made them
Yes.
for me. She does that. So we have a meeting this week to be able to, because I wanted to see what reactions I would get.
Yeah.
And I've had several people say, oh, I want that. I
Yeah.
want that for my mom. I want that.
Yes.
So that's
I'm
what I'm
willing
doing.
to buy it. I'm gonna rock that
So
shirt.
this is,
Honestly, it's
the
awesome.
rocket. The
Yeah,
rock
and
being
I
a
want to also
embrace being a senior. Embrace being a senior.
yes, because it's important because our seniors have really a lot to contribute. And I think nowadays that we're so focused on youth, although it's magnificent, we need both
Yes,
world to
we
be
need
able
both.
to make, yeah, we need both. And I want to be able to use the knowledge of those who've gone before us so that it can inspire the younger youth to do a shortcut so that you don't have to go through all that steps.
Yeah.
Why do it when somebody already figure out the path?
Right.
And I also
Exactly.
want you to share with regard to your personality test as well and talk a little bit more about that.
It's a fun thing. It takes you 90 seconds.
Yeah.
We all have personality. And I'm just going to make this really short.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a whole thing on it.
Mhm.
And sometime, if you want to do that, we could do a class on it. It's just
I
fascinating.
love to. I would love that. I love
But there
personality.
are well, you know what? We all have one. We all have one. And sometimes our worst critic is the person who's looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I have loved about personality is quit being, like we said at the beginning, quit beating yourself up for the things that you're not.
Yeah.
Embrace the thing that you are. And that started for me when my very first time that I was introduced to this personality test. It's not a test. It's just like a little fun thing. It's just you pick out what you value. It's 4 cards. And when I was introduced to that, it was like, oh, this is something that I need to know for myself and my family. Well, then now I share it with other people because I love it. It's so fun. But there are over 30, there's 7 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
There's over 3,500 languages.
Yes. Yes.
3,500 languages. You can't possibly know them all. But there's only 4 basic personality types.
Okay.
And that's what most of the personality thing, like there's DISC and there's MBTI. They're all 4 letters. There's the color wheel, 4 colors, the red, yellow, green, and blue, there's over 200 of them. Absolutely. One of the things that I love about this one is it's all based on what we value.
Yeah.
What do you value in life? And
Yeah.
when you can hone in on what people value in their life, you're going to get along better. And that's what I love when I do little these skits and stuff and these presentations. People go, oh yeah, that's me. Oh, that's my husband. Oh, that's why we get along. Oh, that's why we clash. Because they can see, that's why they do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I do that. That's why we get along. Because there are four definite.
Yes. I did the
We
test
could do a
and
whole show
I
on that.
mean, the test is really good because, and I never even thought of that with regards to value. We talk about always with regards to couples and friendships. What are the values that bring you guys together? And it makes perfect sense to be doing a personality test on value. And I am so excited to see it because honestly, I did the test, but I haven't got back the result yet, what we already mentioned. So I'm going to do another one with you for sure. But
and then let's talk about it.
Yeah, how intelligent is it to really think? I think that would really help people to better understand one another, whether it's in couple, friends, family, to see, okay, you know, these are what's important to me, and this is how I see the world, and you see it differently. Doesn't make it right or wrong between the two of us. We just see perspective from a different angle. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'll give you a brief an overview. We call it BANK. So it's an acronym. The B is for the blueprints. They tend to be more structured.
Okay.
So they like plans and those kinds of things. Well, then you have the A people that are like the blueprint people. We call them that they're in the box.
Yeah.
They're kind of very structured. Yeah. Well, then you get the A people that they are so far out of the box that you can't even touch them. They're the rockets that go out of the box because they don't want to have any structure.
Yeah.
They're just out there. They're just doing their own things. They're the visionaries of the world. Well, then you get the nurturers that we want to recycle the box.
Yeah.
Because we care about everybody. We want to be part of the community. We want to just be part of families, and we value families and all of those things, and being part of a team. And we want to change the world because we're nice. You can tell I'm a nurturer. That's my thing.
Me too.
Yeah, because that's how we are. Well, then you get the knowledge people that they want to know how the box was made.
Oh,
they're the data people. They do the research. They want to know how everything was made. They want to know they want all the latest gadgets. They want to know how they work. Well, you know what? If you I always equate it to a team. If you have a team, that you have to have the vision. Like if you're a company, let's go with more a company. You have to have somebody who's the vision for the company.
Yeah,
absolutely. Lots of times, but they are such a vision, but they don't know how to implement. So then you need to have the knowledge people that are going to get all the data. What's going to make this idea that this visionary has had? What's going to make that idea work? Like, how is it going to work? They're going to do all the research to make sure it works. Well, then they have to have the blueprint people to make sure that there's a structure and there's a process and that it's going to all the legalities are done to make sure it's going to work.
Yeah.
That it's going to be feasible and it's going to make money.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to have the nurturers. Well, what are we going to do with our vision, with this whatever it is, widget, whatever it is? Okay, now we know it's going to work. Well, how are we going to use it to make a difference in the world?
Wow, I love it. The description is so
cycle.
Good. Yeah.
You have to have all of those four.
Yeah.
And so we've got, I run across teams and families that are like, well, my family, it was mostly all the blueprint. Well, here I'm the spontaneous red lipstick girl in the very conservative family. I didn't fit. It was like I was a round hole in a square peg. Got a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
So it caused some, it wasn't until I really came into my own and say, hey, you know what, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm me, and I like me.
Yes.
If you like me, I'm grateful. And if you don't like me, well, I'm so sorry.
I still like you anyway. That's it.
Yeah, but I like you anyways.
That's it.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, we could do a whole show on personality. Oh, a whole show on personality.
We are definitely going to do a new show because I just love your spunk. I love your red lipstick. I love the color. I love the confidence. I love the heart. And I love all of your wisdom. That there right away, my intuition. I couldn't even see you when I came on that meeting. All I heard was, I gotta have you on my podcast. I was like, who is talking to me? And then my intuition said to me, just say yes. And then it was the best decision ever, because I am so grateful for you. Honestly, Barbara, you are an example to me of from where I'm standing and everything you accomplished. Forever, you're going to be sealed in my memory. When the day comes where I will have a hard time as I start aging, and I will always remember that vibration, that love, that joy that you radiate. Despite all of these circumstances, you still have a love for life. And I want that to stay in my head. So you are imprinted in my head right now, so that I'm always reminded. So I'm so grateful for you. I want to also be able to leave you on this very last note as well for people. If you can give them one or two things about regarding mourning, we already touched quite a bit of it, that could be helpful for them. I like the exercise about, when you have negative thoughts and stuff, so that, you can kind of shortcut it. And also mentioning to people guilt and shame, that is so important, so crucial. Start there and allow yourself to mourn. Is there one or two things that you can maybe share with them to help the healing process go a little bit easier?
I think just, doing the exercise and being grateful.
Yes.
Because gratitude is so important. That's one of the things. And sometimes it's like, well, what do I have to be grateful for? I've just lost or done or whatever it is. And just sit down and get quiet within yourself. And you know what? Let's do a life lesson. Okay. So I have an audience, do this with us. Sit down. Put your hands on your laps, put your feet flat on the floor. Take a breath. Celebrate. You just took a breath. You are alive. Celebrate. That's all you have to do. Celebrate. I love people because they're expecting something so, and it just, and your reaction is exactly what happens.
It's so good.
Because that's exactly what because your body knows how to celebrate. Celebrate that you just took a breath. You are alive.
Yes.
You are alive.
Yes.
Celebrate that moment.
It is so
true. That, because one thing that breath just gave you, I know, like you said, when you first heard my voice, you had an inspired action to say yes. You will hear one little thing. Remember that one little thing that we talked about at the beginning? You will hear that one little, either hear it or you will
feel it.
Or something will spark. You will feel that spark. That, this is what I can do to stretch my comfort zone.
Oh, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. I'm going to let you end on this note, Barbara. Is there a quote that you have either used in your lifespan or today that you still obey by it, that has been so helpful in your career, in your personal life, with friends and all that? I'm going to leave you with the last quote to end this show on.
Yeah, the one that mostly comes to mind when somebody says that is Zig Ziglar. I had the opportunity to see him, but it's when you help enough people get what they want, then you will automatically get the things that you want. So if you are suffering, if you are looking for relief from your loss, go and help somebody else that's also going through it. Go and help someone else, no matter what you're doing. Because when you put yourself in someone else's shoes, it gives you such a heart. It goes from your head to your heart. So it goes from your sorrow to your healing.
And they say, it's so beautiful, because they say that the fastest shortcut to happiness is helping somebody else. That's right. And I want to thank you because honestly, you are the perfect example of that, Barbara.
Oh,
You
thank you.
took my hand, you held me, you introduced me to other platform, you brought me onto another podcast show, and it's just constant. You are just of generosity. I love generosity. I
Thank you.
love kindness. You are the perfect example of what you teach. So thank you for honestly being a huge inspiration on my life. And we known each other for so short, but I connect with you right away because there's something so pure about you. And
Well, I don't know if I would go quite that far, but thank you so much. I have my moments.
Where your heart is at.
But yeah, I try to, yeah. And so once in a while, it's like, who was that screaming Mimi that just ran by? Absolutely.
That's what makes you so full of life, Barbara.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, yeah, it's a choice. We have, we can choose every day. And I said that I was on my group this morning. I said, we get to choose every day how we're going to live our life. Some days it's just a much harder choice, though.
Yeah.
And so on those days that it is a harder choice, go out and do something for somebody else that you have absolutely no expectation that they are going to return.
Yeah. It's the best feeling.
Go do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like in the days of when we had toll booths, I would pay the toll for the person behind me.
Yeah.
Something that simple. Buy somebody a cup of coffee. And the biggest thing, smile.
Yes.
Smile.
Yes.
Smile at someone.
It really changes everything.
It
just smiling.
Everything.
Yes. Your physical body registers. So smile. We ended on that. Go do something nice for somebody and just smile. Barbara, you have been a magnificent guest. I am so
thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, honestly. And I want to say thank you to all my viewers. So please like and share and subscribe. You know the routine, how it is. Thank you for tuning in. So until our next episode, Barbara, I'm wishing you a magnificent day. Thank you so much for this wonderful interview. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.